written exchanges he regularly shares with the president about development in parastatals under his supervision. The minister conveys the reactions through the spokesperson for the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, Idan Alibi. He said the letter was aimed not at disparaging Mr. Barrow, but at improving efficiency and deepening transparency in the oil and gas sector for continued investor confidence. The explanation comes hours after a 3-page letter which Mr. Kachiku wrote to President Buhari on August 30 was leaked online. In the memo, Mr. Kachiku criticized Mr. Barrow over a series of perceived illegal practices and appealed to President Buhari to take urgent steps to address the concerns. The minister accused Mr. Barrow of effecting changes in personnel at the NNPC without recourse to NNPC board or the ministry. The National Unity and Peace Corps in Osun State has declared its commitment to maintaining peace and unity in the state and the country at large. This was made known by the state commandant of the Corps, Commandant Moses Ayodele, who led his team on a courtesy visit to Rave 91.7 FM earlier today. During the visit, Commandant Ayodele disclosed that the Corps was saddled with the responsibility of mediating between conflict groups, while noting that it will continue to do its job diligently.
And we are equally known as the mediators. And we started this journey as a vision to mediate in all crisis areas, making sure that we end communal clashes, issues that can breed up among neighborhood, that will now escalate to societal rancor, and issues that can cause crisis, cause violence and aggression that can even claim lives and destroy properties. These are the things that we are really ensuring to tackle.
In his remarks, the Chief Executive Officer of Rave 91.7 FM, Mr. Femi Adefila, noted that the place of the Corps cannot be overemphasized, as peace is very important for any nation. He urged members of the Corps to not be discouraged by what they were going through, while stating that the station will do its best to bridge the gap between the Corps and the public.
Peace is important. Yes. Without peace, there cannot be development. Yes. Without peace, there cannot be socio-economic advancement that we desire as a people. So you have chosen the right path. So I don't want to be discouraged whatever is happening now. It is part of the teaching period. So it is that gap that I will bridge. Giving you publicity.
That's very good.
I liked your programs.
Amen.
The visit ended with a presentation of awards to the Chief Executive Officer of the station. Moving to other parts of Africa, a prominent critic of Rwanda's President Paul Kagame, Diane Rwigara, has been charged with inciting insurrection against the state. Prosecutors say she has been charged along with her mother, Adeline Rwigara, and sister Anne Rwigara. Miss Rwigara was barred from running in August presidential election. Mr. Kagame won the election with 99% of the votes, leading to allegations of rigging, which are denied by the authorities. Ms. Rwigara has also been charged with forging documents. She has previously said she is a victim of political persecution for standing against oppression and speaking her mind. In Europe, leader of Catalonia, Carles Puigdemont, has said the autonomous region will declare independence from Spain in a matter of days. In his first interview since Sunday's referendum, Mr. Puigdemont said his government would act at the end of this week or the beginning of next week. He said there was currently no contact between the government in Madrid and his devolved administration. Mr. Puigdemont was speaking shortly before the televised address to the nation by Spain's King Felipe VI. In the speech, the king said the Catalan leaders who organized the referendum showed their disrespect to the powers of the state. He said the situation in Spain was extremely serious, but stressed that the country would overcome difficult times. Meanwhile, the Spanish High Court said it had begun an investigation into key Catalan figures on suspicion of sedition, including the head of Catalonia's regional police. Let's go to the United States, where President Donald Trump has told Puerto Rico officials that they should be proud they did not lose thousands of lives as in a real catastrophe like Hurricane Katrina. Mr. Trump also said the storm-ravaged U.S. territory has strained the American budget. The presidential trip to the Puerto Rican capital, San Juan, came 2 weeks after the storm devastated the island.
Every death is a horror, but if you look at a real catastrophe like Katrina, and you look at the tremendous hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that died, and you look at what happened here, what is your death count as of this moment? 17?
16 certified.
16 people certified. 16 people versus in the thousands. You can be very proud of all of your people, all of our people working together.
Before landing on the island, Mr. Trump graded his administration's response to Hurricane Maria as an A+. Puerto Rico officials have criticized the U.S. government's handling of the natural disaster as too slow. Following the visit, the White House announced it was preparing to send a $29 billion disaster aid request to Congress. In the meantime, U.S. police say Stephen Paddock, the gunman who killed 58 people and injured more than 500 in Las Vegas on Sunday, set up a number of cameras in and around his hotel suite. Clark County Sheriff Joseph Lombardo said 2 cameras in the hallway and 1 in the peephole allowed him to see if law enforcement or security were approaching.
I anticipate he was looking for anybody coming to take him into custody. The FBI took all digital and electronic evidence into custody, and we are evaluating.
Officers are still trying to determine why 64-year-old Paddock opened fire on a concert from the Mandalay Bay Hotel. The authorities in Las Vegas revised the death toll down from 59 yesterday evening, saying that one of the bodies was that of the gunman. Meanwhile, Paddock's girlfriend returned to the United States today from the Philippines as authorities in Manila said they were looking into reports he transferred $100,000 to her. Marilo Danley is classified as a person of interest to investigators but remains free to go wherever she wants. Meanwhile, in Australia, terrorist suspects could be held for 14 days without charge in the country under reproach by the nation's government. Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull said the proposal would replace state laws which specify varying periods of detention. The government also wants to make it illegal to possess terror-related instructions such as bomb manuals. Mr. Turnbull said he would seek support from state and territory leaders at a national security summit this week. He said police would require approval from a judge to hold the suspect for up to 14 days.
And now for business news.
The Central Bank of Nigeria has intervened in the interbank foreign exchange market with the sale of $195 million. This came just as the Naira appreciated to 364 to the United States dollar at the parallel market, up from the 365 dollars recorded on Friday. Figures released by the CBN showed that the regulator offered the total sum of $100 million to the wholesale segment, while the small and medium enterprises segment received the sum of $50 million. The invisibles segment, comprising tuition fees, medical payments, and basic travel allowance, amongst others, received $45 million. The CBN had last week intervened in the various segments of the forex market with the sum of $698.5 million. And still talking business, social media company Yahoo has said that all of its 3 billion user accounts were affected in a hacking attack dating back to 2013. The company, which was taken over by Verizon earlier this year, said an investigation has shown the breach went much further than originally thought. It stated that the stolen data did not include passwords in clear text, payment card, or bank account data. Previously, the internet giant had said more than 1 billion of its accounts had been hit. Yahoo said while its latest announcements did not represent a new security issue, it was sending emails to all the additional affected user accounts. The company added that it was continuing to work closely with law enforcement.
This is Spotlight.
Welcome to sports. The Chipola Polo of Zambia will enter the next phase of their preparations when they arrive Abuja today ahead of next Saturday's crucial World Cup qualifier against the Super Eagles in Uyo, Zambia. Had spent the last 4 days in the Ghanaian capital, Accra, trying to perfect strategies for the game. According to the team manager, Chris Chibuye, the Southern African side will close the Ghana camp and fly to Abuja, where they will stay before moving down to Uyo for the game on Saturday. Meanwhile, the Super Eagles began training yesterday for the Roger 2018 World Cup qualifier against Zambia. Nigeria lead Group B with 10 points, while Zambia are in second position with 7 points. An Argentina team doctor has claimed that Sergio Aguero could be out for a minimum of 6 weeks after breaking his rib in a car crash. The Manchester City striker suffered the injury last week when the taxi in which he was traveling left the road while he was on a day off in Amsterdam. City has said the injury will keep him out for between 2 and 4 weeks, but Dr. Donato Villani believes it will be even longer. Should the new prognosis be correct, Aguero would not only miss the Champions League doubleheader against Napoli, but also the visit of Arsenal on the 5th of November.
Now, entertainment news.
Nigerian singer Davido seems to be under fire at the moment, as he is being mentioned in the death of a friend named Taiwo. The allegation is contained in a post by actress Caroline Danjuma accusing the pop star of abandoning the deceased at an undisclosed hospital. In a post on Instagram, the movie star questioned him about the series of events that led to the death of Taiwo. She further berated him for returning to a gig and promoting his show despite the sad incident. Danjuma assured the singer that the event will be a tough one to sweep under the rug, as she was ready to match him pound for pound. Davido is yet to release a statement explaining his involvement in the tragedy, which occurred on Monday. And before we end the news, here is a recap of our top stories. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Ibe Kachiku, has described as distrusting the circulation of an internal memo he wrote to President Muhammadu Buhari about the conduct of Group Managing Director of NNPC, Mike Kanti Baru. A prominent critic of Rwanda's President Paul Kagame, Diane Rwigara, has been charged with inciting insurrection against the state. Prosecutors say she has been charged along with her mother, Adeline Rwigara, and her sister, Anne Rwigara. In Europe, leader of Catalonia, Carles Puigdemont, has said the autonomous region will declare independence for Spain in a matter of days. And finally, we brought you news that U.S. police say Stephen Paddock, the gunman who killed 58 people and injured more than 500 in Las Vegas on Sunday, set up a number of cameras in and around his hotel suite. And just before we go,
Did you know
that the revenue gained by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation accounts for 76% of federal government revenue and 40% of the entire country's GDP? And that ends the world news broadcast from Rave 91.7 FM. News was edited by Olalekon Akindoju. You can visit our website on ravefmng.com to listen to us live and interact with us. I am Damilola Raphael, thanking you for listening. To have a good afternoon.
And that was the world news on Rave 91.7 FM. For contact with the newsroom, please call or email 0703 175 9175.
We are Rave 91.7 FM, and we are addicted to playing you good music and giving you quality talk always.
For an incisive, analytical, and investigative expose on diverse issues of national interest, join Edmond Obilo on the stage of the nation on Rave 91.7 FM every Wednesday between 12:15 to 3 p.m. It promises to be an exciting historical journey through politics, economic, and social formation. State of the Nation with Edmond Obilo every Wednesday on Rave 91.7 FM is a must for you. Radio is just getting deeper.
Imagine the sun without heat. Imagine water without wetness. Imagine the sky without the stars. Imagine movement without motion. Imagine Oshobo without Aro. Imagine Inyo without Eforiro. Imagine ocean without rain. Just imagine. Rave 91.7 FM would define every moment.
an incisive, analytical, and investigative expose on diverse issues of national interest. Join Edmond Obilo on the stage of the nation on Rave 91.7 FM every Wednesday between 12:15 to 3 p.m. It promises to be an exciting historical journey through politics, economic, and social formation. State of the Nation with Edmond Obilo every Wednesday on Rave 91.7 FM is the most for you. Radio is just getting deeper.
Daganan kilo betening kom lo moham di betamaso sanalom muasa benge kaputo
State of the Nation.
State of the Nation with Edmond